very much for coming on Haircuts and Uppercuts. It's a pleasure to have you on. First of all, I'd like to talk about you turning pro in 2012 and your successful rise through the ranks, claiming the Southern Area title at featherweight in your 7th fight.
Yeah.
And then the English in your 9th, European, well, the WBO European. It's very, you don't see boxers going through the ranks, picking up the belts that quick that often.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Yeah, so obviously I had quite a decent amateur career, so I knew what sort of level I was at and what I could have been pushed at. I probably lost at the right time, to be honest with you, because I think, if you want my honest opinion, if I hadn't have been beat at that time, I'd have probably gone on to get hurt or been knocked out, because I wasn't ready for world level. You know, I was at the stage I was at, and I was training. My training was unprofessional, and probably got beat at the right time. But touching on the wins, yeah, my career was managed. Frank picked the right opponents at the right times. My career was goaded along quite well. So, obviously, it's right fights at right times as well, and a lot of luck at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, getting them fights and getting them titles at them times. Sometimes you can have a title that isn't vacant. I was lucky enough to fight for vacant titles where we could pick opponents. I'm not degrading what I've done. I'm just touching on a bit of honesty. I was lucky enough to fight for vacant titles where we could choose sort of like, I don't know, what would I say, 60-40 fights, I suppose. 60 in my favour, 40 in their favour. And, like the fight I took with Peter Cope for the English title was probably the most on paper 50-50 fight I've taken. Dennis Tibieron, obviously, after doing 12 rounds of Josh Warrington, was obviously a big statement, but it wasn't a fight I wasn't going to lose on paper. But yeah, I've got to give credit to Frank on that. Done a fantastic job on managing and working my career.
Do you think that's what a lot of boxers coming through need? Just a very good matchmaker and someone who's not going to throw them in the deep water too soon?
Yeah, not every fighter, but especially young fighters. I think you're getting, obviously, what with the COVID, you're getting a lot more 50-50 fights. But at the same time, you've got to be careful on who you're still matching. I mean, for instance, the other day, Sky Sports, there was a fight on the very first fight. It was on Facebook page.
Yeah,
and there was two lads. There was two lads that went off. It was meant to be the same weight sort of thing, 50-50 fight, and yeah, so it ended up being a one-sided bashing, and that got the kid hurt, and it's got the kid probably doubting himself to where he wants to go now, which is a shame. But you've got to only fault the match, or you've got to only fault his manager for sticking him in, or his trainer for sticking him in the deep end, man, because should have done their homework. That's why it's important to be with coach. You see a lot of coaches in this game that are shouldn't really fucking tie your boot, but they're out there teaching kids how to fight and how to hold their hands, and they can't realistically do it, and you're getting kids hurt. Like, you get a lot of this Instagram boxing and the Instagram trainers nowadays, and it's a bit downgrading to boxing, because unfortunately this is the fight game, it's the hurt game, and unfortunately that's what it is. But you're getting a lot of coaches coming in and throwing their opinions about when they don't actually know the game. I've been in the game 22 years. I'm not going to say what I don't know ain't no worth knowing. I'm not going to say that, but I know a lot about boxing. You can't sit there and no one can sit there and bullshit me, and I'd be happy enough now to manage my own career in a certain way. I have a manager in Mo Pryor, which I know will do a fantastic job. But what I'm saying is, I know enough about boxing to be able to know that the other day's fight was only going to go one way before it was even supposed to like start. Do you know what I mean? The kid was far too big for him. Far too big for him.
Yeah, it was quite a brutal fight. It was. It looked like me getting in the ring with a professional fighter.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Unfortunately, listen, I'm not going to sit here and dig the other kid out and say, he's not able to do something at his level, but he wasn't in. He was out of his. He was in the deep end there, man. He was out of his depth.
Oh yeah, well, I wasn't being disrespectful. It's like there's levels in the game, isn't there?
100%, 100%.
So when you talk about your loss, you think it was the right time for you. I know you broke your hand in that fight as well, didn't you?
No, no. See, a lot of people get. I broke my fight. I broke my hand after the fight.
All right.
Yeah. So I had a niggle with it in the fight. So do you know what? Do you know what? I don't know when I broke it. I couldn't tell you the exact moment I broke it. I hit him with a shot on his elbow. I felt it half go. Could still throw it through the fight. Wouldn't. I didn't really land many punches in the fight that were clean, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just a very flat Mitchell Smith that turned up. Didn't do the weight properly. Messed about in training. And couldn't perform, unfortunately. But then after the fight, I also hit the wall, and that maybe triggered it off. I don't know. It was just a very serious break because I broke it in 3 places. But I don't know if it was something in the fight that would have done it. But I wouldn't say that was the reason why I lost, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
The reason why I lost is because I wasn't committed to the sport.
Do you think the lessons you've learned from that though is what's going to help you kickstart your career again? Because obviously you're
I do
training
know.
hard, and you've, like you say, you can't pull the wool over your eyes.
I do know one thing. Whenever I get beat, if I get beat, don't know why I've said whenever. If I get beat, it's not because I've not trained hard. It will be because I've been beat by somebody that's better than me on the night, and or better than me in general, and I'll hold my hands up to that, because there's nothing worse. I mean, I've come to peace with it now, of the loss with Jupp. I've come to peace with it. I've come to terms with it. But at the time, it took many years, many dark times. I still believe that half of the reason why I ended up in jail is because I was holding a lot of frustration through everything I'd done prior to that fight. I messed about, man. I messed about, and it cost me. But at the same time, life is full of lessons, man. And you either learn or you don't, and it's one or the other. And if you don't learn, then you don't learn. If you do, then you do, sort of thing. Like, I'm sure I will get back and beyond where I was. I'm
Yeah,
sure of it.
most definitely. You're still young. It's not like you're old, is it? So
No.
you
I'm
know,
in the prime of my
time's on
life
your
now.
side.
In terms of boxing, I'm in the prime of my life now, because I'm 28. There's going to be no one physically strong. There's going to be no one physically stronger than me. There's going to be definitely no one that can hit harder than me. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the world now, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet. Before, like I said, I was having to be managed well, very, very well. My fights were having to be 60-40, 70-30 sort of fights. Now I'll be happy to get in with anyone, because we was having to guide past people. We can't go near him because he's a bit too man, he's a bit too strong. I'm gonna have none of that now. I'll get on with my career now. There's gonna be no one that's gonna be like, oh, we can't go near him because he's a little bit too much. I'm saying in the world, eventually there's gonna be steps towards the world title, but there's gonna be no one that I'm gonna look at and go, do you know what? What have I done here? I'm back. Don't know what I've done now. That just switched off. Yeah, there's going to be no one that I'm going to be worried about. That I'm going to be like, oh, do you know what? I don't want to go near him because he looks too big or too strong, or that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm ready to take that big step eventually, man. I'm working up north now. just joined forces with Lee Beard, which is actually probably the first news that that in an interview that I've expressed that to. So
Right.
that's
Haircuts and uppercuts got the exclusive then.
yeah, man, pretty much, man. I've been tweeting, I've been working up in Manchester, but I'm actually working with Lee Beard. Um, you know, he's worked alongside Roger Mayweather. He's been in the Mayweather camp. He's worked with Ricky Hatton. Do you know what I mean? So he's had world champions in Mendes. He's British champions in Jack Catterall. Works with Vijender Singh. He's got some fantastic fighters in the gym at the moment. We got a fighter in the gym at the moment, fucking extra special man in Kez Ashfaq, former Olympian. He's a training partner. We got other kids in the gym, such as Adam, Courtney, Marvin, Craig. These boys are all spurring me on at the moment, man, giving me that push that I need. So yeah, I've had to move up north because I'm not going to say falling off the hurdle, but I get to a certain stage and then I get comfortable back at home, and unfortunately, I've had to move 250 miles across the country to get some sort of routine, I suppose, in a way. I've been blessed that I've got a few sponsors that are helping me on this journey, and without them, this wouldn't be able to be. I'm not going to go and mention them all, but they know who they are, and I really appreciate it all. And eventually, when I get the moment to thank them all on camera, and I've got it all written down to who I need to thank, especially, I'll do that. But these people know who they are, and I'm blessed to have the backing of them to be able to do the job that I'm doing right now. I miss my kids. Obviously, I don't go home until every 4 weeks, so I miss my kids for 4 weeks at a time. But at the end of the day, my daughter's 8, my son is 2. My son won't even remember it. You know what I mean? And my daughter will understand the sacrifice that I made, and that will mean something when I'm older. You know what I mean? She'll understand the sacrifice that I had to go through. It might not be until she's 21. It might not be until she has kids, but eventually she'll understand and she'll go, do you know what? I respect that, and that's what we live for.
Yeah, I've got 2 kids and I run my own business, so I work crazy hours, and they always have a go at me because they never see me. But I think one day they'll understand. You know,
That's it. You're building a support. You're building a support barrier for them, and at the end of the day, us as men are there to provide, and we're there. We have to sacrifice, and in life, nothing worth having comes easy, unless your parents are multi-millionaires. Then it's easier. It's easier done than said, sort of thing. But unfortunately, you've got people like yourself and myself that have to work hard at what we do to bring home the bacon. So
yeah. I don't know if you think about it yourself because it's your story, but from the outside looking in, can you not see how inspirational your story is at the same time? You came out of prison, reportedly 17 stone, and you're
18,
turning your life
18
18.
stone.
Jeez, turning your life back around, getting back in shape, chasing what's yours again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, in its own ways, and do you know what? There's a lot more to the story than what meets the eye. I fought for my kids in court against social services. I had a newborn son and went back into prison. My son being 6 weeks old and then ending up back in prison. There's a lot more that meets the eye, and eventually the whole story will come out. And it is very, very, very. It's been emotional, and but you know what? I could never live with myself giving up on the journey. Like, I've had some great people along the way as well. Like this whole 3 years, 4 years since I've been in the ring, this hasn't been about one person. It's not been about Lee Beard now getting me in the ring. It's been about everyone along the way. I've got many people to thank, and like I said, I'm not going to do it now on the interview, but eventually I will. And do you know what? People I've even fallen out with along the way, they will still get a mention because they've helped me a part of the journey. And it's been, like I said, it's been pretty incredible. Like, I'm not in tip-top shape now. I'm still carrying a stone and a half, which still needs to come off. We're looking at sort of mid-June, start of July to fight. But and like I said, I've still got a tiny bit. I'm not in, I'm not in tip-top shape, but I'm in a shape where I'm sparring, I'm training, I'm doing 10 or 12 rounds. I'm feeling fantastic. Yeah, man, I feel good, man. It's like I said, it's a fantastic journey, man. And until until I'm there or my career is finished, then I can think I'll look back and go, do you know what? That was pretty fucking inspirational, or that was pretty thingy. But right now, if it inspires someone, hey ho, brilliant. That's fantastic, man. I'm here to do that. If someone can find something from it and go, do you know what, man? I get some sort of motivation out of that. Brilliant, man. Fantastic. Because it's not been easy, man. It's not been an easy ride. It's been frigging difficult. Been difficult. And there's been times where I've I haven't quit, but I've stopped doing it for a couple of weeks. Like I said, I get to a certain stage and I'm like, oh no, I get too comfortable at home. The journey's still not even close to being finished, but I've come a long way, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's in adversity when you find out who you are. I think that's what I've learned through COVID. Anyway, find out who you are in tough times, don't you?
100%, 100%. I make you right. Comfort zones. Everyone lives in comfort zones, and when you bring a man or a woman or a child out of its comfort zone, you tend to find out who they truly are. You tend to find out who you truly are. I know who I am. I know what I can do. I've been through the hardest times. I don't think generally in my life, I don't think I'll ever go through anything as hard as what I've been through for the past 4 years. And I've learned some valuable lessons, some very emotional times along the way, and I found that I'm truly the most strongest minded person I know. Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what it's about. Is for me is mindset. That's why I love boxing, and I've boxed and done kickboxing my whole life, and that's the side of it that sticks out to me. That's why I thought it's brilliant getting you on, because what you've been through. It's easy for people from the outside looking in to go, oh, he ended up in prison, he did this, he did that. But when you're a young lad, everyone makes mistakes. Just because you're famous, that's gets plastered over the newspapers or whatever, you know, journos and media people do. But at 24 years old, you're still a kid, aren't you?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, my ego was bigger than my maturity, and the decision that I made at the time was wrong, and I should have just left it. Although it weren't me to start it, I should have known that I'm a professional. Shouldn't have put myself in a position where I'm in a pub full of idiots where these sort of things can happen. That's something that I'll make sure. I used to plaster myself all in nightclubs all the time. I was always getting into grief. It was only going to be a matter of time until I ended up in stuck in the cage. You know what I mean? I was always getting up to all sorts of shit, man. Just always fucking fighting and being a dick. And it eventually come back to bite me on the arse, Fortunately, at 20, between the ages of 20 and 24, when most kids are out on the piss, fucking enjoying themselves, I'm stuck in a gym most of the time. And then you go out because you want to go out, and you end up in a pub, and you end up around idiots. And unfortunately, we as professional athletes, we shouldn't be around that. And you end up in trouble. And that's what's cost me 3 or 4 years of my career.
Yeah, but by the sounds of it, it's also taught you the valuable lesson of taking yourself out your comfort zone, going up to Manchester, staying in a
Oh,
hotel,
100%.
and
Listen,
smashing it.
I believe that everyone's pattern, everyone's life is set before them. I'm a big believer in it. I don't know what your judgment on it is, and some people go, "Oh, he's talking bollocks." I believe that when the moment you're born, your path is set out for you. Whatever's going to happen is meant. Whatever's going to be is meant to be.
Yeah, I believe in that too.
And everything happens for a reason, sort of thing. And at the end of the day, everything I've been put through will make me the man I am in 10 years' time, or you know what I mean? I'm still struggling every day. I've been up in Manchester now 18 days, I think, and I haven't seen this, it's as long as I've not seen my kids. Obviously I've got FaceTime, but it's the longest. I think FaceTime makes things harder, mate, to be honest with you, because you see them but you can't touch them. You see them but you can't hug them. You see them but you can't kiss them.
Yeah.
It makes it hard because you have to go to bed thinking, I've seen that face. It's the last face I see before I hit my pillow. It makes things difficult. So sometimes I think FaceTime actually makes things hard. Makes things hard, especially for someone like me anyway, because I can switch off. Remember the time I done in jail? Switch off from my kids. Do you know what I mean? I seen my daughter once when I was in prison, in 9 months, or what was it? 9 months, almost a year. So, and you just switch off from the outside world. I can do that. I'm quite blessed on doing that. When you're talking to your kids on FaceTime every night, it makes it difficult because then, like I said, you get into bed and you miss them. And like I said, I've been up here 18 days. I missed them to bits, man. And I'm going back to London this Saturday to go and see them. So that'll be almost like 3 weeks. But after that, then I'll be doing every 4 weeks. And then going home for a weekend and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, man, I don't know where I went with the question, but
No, it's
I've rolled with it, man. I've rolled with it. I tend to do that.
it's the best way. You just chat normally. It's the best way, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
When you eventually make your return, what weight are you going to return at?
We're looking at. Already spoke about this, so I can mention it. I'll probably be looking at coming back about 65 kilos, which is about 10 stone 4, 10 stone 5, which is in between light welter and welter. Then head down towards light welter, and then if I can, I will make lightweight. If I can't, I'm comfortable with fighting at light welter weight.
All right, brilliant.
And so I'll be a small light welter, but I will be. I'm strong, man. I'm strong, and I'll prove that when I come back.
Yeah, well, yeah, featherweights. They don't have 15 fights or 8 KOs normally, do they?
Yeah, but listen. My even my old record it's got no justice on what I can do with my hands, and that, I genuinely mean that. No, even my coach, to like, for instance, Lee Beard, for instance, he knows his stuff. He was talking. He said, like, I can't believe that you've not knocked out most of your opponents. Like, when you get a good trainer tell you something like that, you know that you don't make. I know I'm not pity patting. Do you know what I mean? I'm meeting with force. So I genuinely believe that when I get back, it's gonna be even more exciting than it was last time. It generally is, because, like I said, man, I can jump into fights, man. I'm not. And also, I'm not gonna piss about at the bottom again. I'm gonna have one probably 8 round the back, and then I'll be hunting at titles again at some point this year.
Yes, well, you've served your apprenticeship, so to speak, haven't you, already? And
Oh, listen, I've done all that at the bottom. I've done all that at the bottom. I believe I'm good enough to eventually win a world title. But right now, I'll be hunting down everything on its way over the next 18 months. I've got a plan set out, and I'll be hunting down everyone on the way to them big fights.
if you can't say, don't say. But do you know who you're going to be working with? Or is that top secret information at the moment?
I'm going to be working with Frank Warren.
Okay, wicked.
And BT Sport. So yeah, we've got a meeting with Frank over the next few weeks. Do you know what? It's lucky that I can actually say it, because he actually said something on camera the other day. That I didn't know this. I actually didn't know this. I'm glad he said it. I'm actually still in contract with him, because I still owe him a certain amount of fights. So it's kind of a bit of a blessing, really, I suppose. Kind of a blessing, I suppose.
Well, it's got to be, Alex. You think, he's on BT Sports now, and
back on the big stage, you know, back on telly. I think that the journey itself will put me back on the telly. I don't think I'll be left not on the telly. Obviously, if it's a fight during COVID, it will definitely get televised because all the fights are being televised. Like I said, man, I'd like one or possibly two fights back, and then I'll be calling on some sort of title, some sort of international title, maybe. See what's about, really.
Yeah, it'd be sick, especially with like I say, with COVID, all the fights are on BT Sports. You know, they're all on Sky. There's no
That's going to be the
untelevised
strange
cards.
thing for me. That's going to be the strange thing for me because I've always filled out arenas. Do you know what I mean? I've always sold sort of like, I've always done a good ticket. I've always done 400, 500, 600 tickets. I remember doing 1,500 tickets at XL Arena. I've in front of 20,000 people I boxed. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be weird coming out to no one in the arena. It's going to be like, what's going on here? This is strange. So, you know, I perform under the big light, man, and it's gonna be a bit different. It's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna have to get used to. Listen, I hope to God that we're all out of this shit in life in general, because you know it's sad to see people having to waste a lot of their time not seeing their family, or you know, having to go into lockdown. Do you know, I feel sorry for, you know, the likes of us are going to have to live, if we have to live the rest of our lives like it, because they're talking about this pandemic going on for years on years, you know, but I just feel sorry for our kids, that our kids missing out on schools, and people that are missing out on their GCSEs. And, you know, my kids, like, they never went to school for about 8 months.
Yes, same with mine, and the
And
youngest.
you know, even though all this school, you know, at home school learning, give it a rest, man. Like, give it a rest. Do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to teach my eldest like Pythagoras theorem and algebra and stuff. She's like, "Why don't you get it, Dad?" It's like, "Dad's a barber for a reason, kid. I cut hair
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
shit
like,
at maths."
yeah, mate, I didn't even finish school, so my kids are cleverer than me. They're like, "Dad, what's all this about?" It's like, mate, I haven't a clue. Get me a calculator.
Ask
I'll give you
Google.
the answer. Fucking Google it.
That was pretty much Google and Alexa was homeschooling for us.
Yeah, they got me through.
So hopefully we'll see you out, you reckon, by June, do you say?
We're looking at mid-June, July.
Oh, brilliant.
Still depends on where we're at, man. I want to get in the ring 100%. I want to get in the ring 100%. The reason why we're not rushing it as well, you got to remember, is I'm being trained by a new trainer. You know, I'm
Yeah.
18 days into this. It's a very, very, very new way of training. He's a trainer that I'm glad I picked, because he's fantastic at what he does. I'm actually still learning. You know, I generally, you know, I you know, without trying to be big headed, but sort of, you know, every shot in the book. I've been boxing 22 years. And you sort of know every shot in the book, and you think, oh no, I could do that. And I've come to Lee Beard, and I'm getting things wrong, and it's frustrating, man. It's so frigging frustrating, but it's fantastic because it makes you realize, you know what, you've got to be on the ball, man. Got to be on the ball. He's just fantastic at what he does. So we want to take my style, get Lee's style mixed into it, do what Lee does, so that when I get into the ring, everyone can see that difference. If I get in the ring in 6 weeks' time, or 4 weeks' time, 5 weeks' time, I could do a stone and a half in 5 weeks, right? And I get in the ring and just perform like the old Mitchell Smith, it'll still be like, oh, this is great. It will do Lee no justice, because it'll be like, oh, that was what Mitch left at. That's how Mitch fucking looked when he left. I want to get in there and do the stuff I'm being taught now. So in 10 or 12 weeks' time, it'd be like, just giving that little bit more time where I can give Lee that bit of, you know, like, it will look like I'm doing it the Lee Beard way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, give yourself time to add more strings to your bow.
100%.
Well, it'd be brilliant if we could get you on again before your return to the ring.
Listen, I have no problem with speaking to you, pal. If you ever need another one, I'm definitely be about.
Now, I want to thank you for coming on. And is that It's brilliant. I generally think that, you will look back on your life and career in 10, 15 years time and realize, how hard you've worked, put the graft in and come back, and, you won't see it now, but, you will be inspiring people. You might not see it now, but it's definitely going to be happening.
I appreciate that, bro.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. I don't say shit I don't mean, but
No, I appreciate that, man.
no, and unfortunately, Rob and Scott couldn't come on today because Rob's moving house and Scott's still working, and they're going to be so pissed off.
Listen, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, like I said, man, if you want to do another one in, say, 10 weeks' time or 8 weeks' time, and you're on borderline boxing, very close to my fight date, or whenever you want, really, I'm happy enough to jump on and talk about what I've done over the past sort of 6 or 7 weeks. I'm happy enough to talk about that, man, and we can go into more detail about everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Quickly before you go, because I know you're gonna want to phone your kids and family.
I want
to
phone my kids. I want to eat some food, man. I'm starving.
Repeat or revenge. That's it. Dylan White Povetkin.
I think revenge. Revenge. And I want to explain why, because I think he found it too easy last time, and he come out in that round very lax. He was very he weren't very. If you look at the fight over, he was switched off an awful lot.
Yeah,
I think he'll come out. He's going to be switched on. I think Povetkin's going to know he's got the power to beat him. I don't think he looked like he wanted to be in there last time, Povetkin. And if it had gone maybe 1 or 2 more rounds, they'd have pulled him out.
Yeah, well, apparently they said to him, "We've got one more round."
He just got caught with a shot. Listen, he's going to cut. I think it's going to be. I think it could go early, but you're going to see a very cagey Dillian White.
Brilliant.
But with that, there'll still be fireworks because he's heavy-handed, and they're the big boys, isn't there? And that's why I had to lose weight, because I'm not as big as them. Listen, man, it was nice to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner.
Take care of yourself, buddy.
Cheers.
Bye now, bye.